We have Newy Scruggs today. I'm going to tell you something right now.
Okay.
I started watching Newy when I was 11 years old.
Oh man!
Hey, at least you were born. Because I got kids now. I've watched you since I was born. Thanks. It's scary to me. I've been here 25 years in this market. So
Newy, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me, Mr.
I've got this long introduction because you have so many accolades to your name and so much success since you started in 1992.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, honestly, my dad, this is the way it rolled out. Cowboys,
Yeah.
Newy Scruggs. It was synonymous. Cowboys, Newy Scruggs.
I was Cowboys and that was it. Cowboys. I tell people all the time, I grew up Cowboy fan. I had the Cowboy raincoat, lunchbox, backpack. I would trade you 5 of those NFL pencils for the one Cowboys. I mean, I had the blue Tony Dorsett 33 jersey because I wanted you to know I was more Cowboy fan than you. Back when that royal blue jersey they couldn't win in. So I grew up on the Cowboys, so it's been wild to be able to cover them. And remember the first time I went to Texas Stadium, just walking down the ramp and being in there. So I've been incredible. God's blessed me to let me live my dreams.
Now listen. You just jump in anytime.
No, this is your show.
You're not just a pretty face. In fact, you're not even a pretty face.
He's a pretty face now.
Well, he is pretty. But look at these boots right here, Newy.
Can't hide money.
Woo!
You know that.
Come on.
I'll tell you what. Glad you're here.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
I mean, honestly.
It's funny because I remember when I met Newy, and he probably doesn't even remember this. I was starting my television career in Sherman, just up north. And Newy had just gotten here in the year 2000, I believe.
Yeah.
And my roommate at my first TV job, his name is Mark Istook. He's now the morning TV anchor at WFAA Channel 8. And we went to college together at TCU. And Mark was a sports director at the NBC station in Sherman. I was a news anchor at the CBS affiliate in Sherman. And he said, hey, for Rangers opening day, I need someone to help me shoot some stand-ups, basically run his camera. Because in those markets, you're a one-man band. When you're in a top 5 market, Newy has someone who does the grunt production work for him. But in those smaller markets, you do it all yourselves. And Newy's been through that as well, starting his career. And I said, man, go to the Rangers, home opener? Heck yeah, I'm in. I'll shoot whatever. So we get up there and we get into the elevator, go up to the press box, and this guy strolls up. He's wearing shorts, Air Jordan tennis shoes, and I'm like, this is the new sports guy in DFW, and he knows it. He was dripping with confidence. But I've got so much respect for Newy because of the father that he is. When we worked at NBC5 together, we sat right beside each other. Our backs were to each other, and he'd read a story and he'd say, hey, let's talk about it. He's that guy because he's fully vested, not just in the sports cast and what the Rangers and the Cowboys and the Stars and the Mavs are doing, but he genuinely cares about news in our community, and that's what I appreciate about Newy. So I hope you receive that, my man.
Man, it's always scary when somebody says, let me tell you how I met you.
Exactly.
Okay? It is. Yeah. I remember back when I was married and we were going, my kids were in elementary school. So at the time, wife says, oh, I met Paula. She says, I know Newy. Then she comes to tell me how, and this is dumb me at the time, judged a bikini contest for a friend who worked at Hooters. Apparently Paula won it.
Paula won.
Now Paula. So Paula's daughters are the same. We got kids the same age.
Oh no.
I didn't know this. So we're all going to elementary school. And Cy comes, let me tell you how I met Paula. It's like, so when somebody starts to tell me how they met me, I'm scared because of the Paula story.
There's no bikini in my story.
And I was like, okay, so when you were talking, I'm like,
oh, here we go.
What did I do? Now you're telling me what I'm wearing. I was like, is there a punchline? Or this can go one. It's like, as long as it doesn't go the Paula way.
There's no Paula.
Paula way.
There's no
Sweet
bikini.
lady, great. But it was like, because I remembered doing it that day. I was like, okay, so when your wife is pregnant, don't go judge a bikini contest for Hooters. But I got the free
wings.
It was like the car. Yeah. It was like 50% off for the whole year. So.
Nice.
Tell me, so you and Newy go way back. So tell me a behind the scenes something on Newy that he just would not want you to tell. While you're thinking about that, Newy,
The punch right there.
Man, I'm trying to think.
We got some stuff.
I'm trying to think.
Newy, between the old Texas Stadium
Yeah.
and the new stadium,
Okay.
what's the difference?
They won championships at the old stadium. So
Right.
there.
Right.
Okay, that right out of the gate right there. They won. This place, here's the thing I tell people all day long that I love about Jerry World. It changed sports across the globe. People looked at this and said, oh, I need one of these giant TVs. Because if the first time you're there, you're watching the TV more than you're watching the guys on the field, because they look like lands, especially depending on where you're sitting. So Jerry changed the entire experience. And so one of the things that I'm lucky enough to do is we travel around the Cowboys, and other NFL owners were starting to, hey, what do I do? How do I build? There are a lot of mini Jerry Worlds. And then the Mavericks had to go get a television set that was as big as Jerry's. Well, not as big, but that was, had all the bells and whistles. Then Eddie Gossage goes, builds his big Haas TV at Texas Motor Speedway. Across the globe, what Jerry did changed things.
Yeah.
And it changed it in a lot of ways for the fan experiences to be better, because most people never go to NFL games. They never do in their lives.
Yeah, sure.
So what you get is the experience that you see on TV. And Jerry, from the time he talked about going to the Astrodome as a kid and seeing the Astrodome, like, what could I do? And he ended up building that.
Yeah.
So the difference between them is that this was Jerry's big innovation in his dream of what he wanted to do. And the guy did it.
Jerry gets a lot of different stories told about him, and raps and bad raps and good raps. But would you not agree that his biggest contribution to football is his innovation?
That's why he's in the National Football League. Well, it's the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but that's why he's there, for what he did in the NFL.
Yeah.
Jerry had the Pepsi deal at Texas Stadium. Well, you can't do that because Coke is the sponsor. Jerry's like, no. I own a stadium. Most people at the time did not own a stadium. So Jerry had to figure out, when he's losing $1 million a month, how do I make money? So Pepsi being the official sponsor of Texas Stadium, Jerry was able to take his check from Coke, take his check from Pepsi. And you know what teams now do? The same thing. Mm-hmm. Jerry taught him how to make money. Mm-hmm. So there's an official beer for the NFL, there's an official beer for the team. So now teams are taking so much money off stuff now. Mm-hmm. And Jerry was the one who really showed people how to do it. And teams went from people saying, well, you don't want to own your stadium and run it, to now every team owns their own stadium. So they get the parking, they get the concessions. When Fox came in, CBS had convinced them that they needed to give money back. Like, hey, NFL, you need to give us some money back. You need to give us a break. Jerry's like, whoa, we have this amazing product. So he goes and he brings in Rupert Murdoch, and Murdoch's like, don't use me. He said, no, make a legitimate offer. Murdoch did it, and Kris, you remember, Channel 4 used to be CBS.
That's right.
Channel 11 just showed movies. Next thing you know, Channel 4 switches to Fox. CBS needs a place to go, so they go to Channel 11. Jerry basically helped create a fourth TV network, which meant more jobs for people like Kris and I. So now, instead of just 3 TV stations, there are 4 TV stations in every market. And Fox has now gone on to, Rupert's done tremendous things in television, but it really started with Jerry Jones having the vision and innovation to make them legitimate. But the innovations in what he's done, when you see the War Room cameras and Draft Day, Jerry was the one who did. Jerry was like, let's let people in to see what's going on. He's a showman.
What do you say, and since we're talking about Jerry, and I want to get off of that in a minute and get into you, because you are an enigma in this world of sports. But when you talk about Jerry, and you hear the public say, why is he owner, GM? What do you say to all that?
I say there's 2 things. If you don't know Jerry and everything you see off TV is just that, you won't like him, and I get it. I have a unique perspective because I've been around for a long time. And so there's showbiz Jerry. And Kris, you know this. There's a lot of people, especially when we talk about people who are in the world of sports, music, and politics. There's the showbiz person you see, and there's a whole nother person on a different side that you don't see. You don't see that guy who is continually helping out former players. I used to do the radio show for him when I worked at the Fan. I'd asked him many times, why don't you get someone? And he said, here's the thing, when I have a general manager, you're going to have to come through me anyway. So why not just cut through it all? He wants to do it his way. We can say all day long, should you do this differently, that differently, but when you own the team, you get to do what you want. So what it is.
So how do you go from growing up a Cowboys fan, having the Dorsett jersey, parachuting into the top 5 TV market in the country, and holding that guy who you have a special bond with, holding him accountable to the fans. How difficult is that, and how do you do it?
Kris, you and I have done work together. It's about one. We don't make it personal. Okay. You know, a lot of people want to call it. We don't name call. Kris and I, we don't name call people. It's a legitimate question, and at the end of the day, is it? I remember a couple summers ago when Jimmy wasn't in the Ring of Honor, and Jerry said he put him in. I said, "This is petty." You know that, Jerry? I set it up nicely. I set it up nice. Jerry, you know I like you. I like you a lot. But this is petty. What's going on between you and Jimmy? You know, you guys did this together. And anyway, he just was like, you know, it's not about putting Jimmy in. There's a whole lot of people I get it about Jimmy sniveling. They're like, oh my gosh, he's still going on this tangent here. But I was able to ask it, and it created a little bit of a buzz. But it was a fair question.
Yeah.
Because all of us who watched Jimmy and Jerry come to town, fire Tom Landry, catch the rap, go 1-15, then go on to have the team of the 90s, they're together. And yeah, Jerry, you own it, you get to do all that, but I'm sorry, the fans are still on Jimmy's side. And you cannot ignore that. And so when you ask it in a fair way, try to add a little tenderness with it, but it's a legitimate question.
For sure.
And Jerry and I have gotten along because I've never made it personal.
But I think the heart behind that story, Newy, is the fact that you have a job to do for NBC5, right? And it's to get to the heart of every issue and to ask the questions that most fans don't have the ability to ask, right? And whether it's Jerry Jones, Mark Cuban, whoever it is, right? They have to appreciate and understand that as well.
Said as long as you keep it fair. That's where
professional.
Where we've lost that, Kris.
That's fair.
I tell people all the time, the business that Kris and I got, it's not that business anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to go find viral moments or go get some clip that gets out there on social media. I try to make sure it's done in a fair way that when I see, because I'm going to have to return into the rooms to see these folks, and you just want it to be done in a fair way. So what I've asked Mark through the years, what I've asked Jerry, it was funny to watch my Silver Circles video induction. Mark and Jerry were on it, and they gave me some. They ripped me. They ripped me a little bit. Just like, you know, you ain't always been you're a good homeboy. You ain't always been a homeboy. You know what I mean? But Jerry's great like that. I mean, so when I graduated business school from TCU, I told Jerry, I said, what do I do with this?
Oh,
so
wow.
it was 2023. My contract to Channel 5 was running out, and I didn't know if I needed to make a pivot. Like, what do I do? Jerry says, come see me. So he has me come up to his office at the Star. Jerry spends an hour with me, and he just walks me through different things, scenarios, and about the world of television and things I thought is like, hey, wait, this is about to move over here. Don't forget that. It was fantastic.
Man, that's interesting.
It was fantastic. And
How
Jerry,
did it change you?
How did it change me? I listened. First thing, I listened to this man does know what above all. It's like, this man is still sharp as a tack. He knows business. So the best thing I did was listen, re-upped my contract, negotiated the best contract I ever did. Part of it is being able to go to school and understanding how to really do negotiations better than ever, but knowing what my value was and what Jerry talked about. And then the other things he talked about doing, hey, go do this and spin off of that. It was fascinating. And then the kindest thing Jerry did, we're leaving, is, hey, you know your way here to my office now. Don't let it be the last time.
That's cool.
And
that's really, really cool.
And that's the thing where people don't know. And there was some other things that was going on in my personal life, and Jerry walked me and was like, okay, this, and that. And so it was tremendous. I talked to Aikman, Troy one time, and Troy said, hey, Jerry, you understand my financial position. If you were me, what would you do to try to, make your money last? And so Troy tells me different things that Jerry told him to get involved with. And Troy did them. And obviously we see today, Troy is a very successful entrepreneur as well. That's that guy that people don't see, where he truly will take this. I mean, what Jerry told me, this is advice people would write a check for $75,000 from this man. To spend that kind of time with them and consult you.
Like a life coach.
Right.
He's a brilliant man. Newy, you have multiple Emmys in sports.
Trying to catch him.
Well, I have a question for both of you. great careers as a newscaster, a sportscaster, great careers, lots of image between the two of you, 30 or 40 between the two of you. How does it change you? How do you stay humble? How do you keep that momentum?
First off, let me say this. I learned how to really win a lot through Kris.
Explain that.
Kris is very organized. Kris would watch. I don't like watching myself. I'm doing a show, I'm not trying to watch it. Kris will watch his work and he'll record it. And so Kris was able to record. He does so much during the year anyway, but he was able to record his best stuff. Like, oh, I should probably, because trying to remember at the end of the year when it comes around, oh, what do I have? So Kris always had a great catalog of what was going on. And then Kris is a very good storyteller. So he helped me there too. So I learned how to tell better stories watching Kris, and then just his details of how he put together what he was going to submit. There's an art to it, and watching other people. So I watched Kris. I'd won here and there. Kris knew how to win. I mean, one night, man, Kris takes his family. They won 4 innings. Everybody standing there with a trophy. I'm like, hey, my God. You go. Most of us trying to go there and leave with one. Kris out here leaving with not one, not two, at the end, with multiple truckloads. So I'm like, okay. And so watching Kris helped me. So totally up to Kris. I got 18 of them now. It was watching Kris that I started to figure out this is what you need to do and this is how you execute. So that's just me being smart enough to realize, hey, watch people who are successful and then go follow, ask them questions and go follow what they do. And then storytelling. I never really won for storytelling, and I watched Kris tell stories and win. Like, okay, watch it, look at it. So some people would look at these things and be jealous. I was never looking at these things being jealous or envious. Like, okay, what's the formula? What is it they're doing?
That's good.
Because there's the science right there, and it's not. I can't be Kris. Not trying to imitate Kris, but what are the formulas and the processes that he used, the systems, systems are what get people. Kris had a system of how he did his job and how he worked. That's why he's been so successful. So I'm sitting around here, I'm trying to watch people who are successful, and that was with Kris. And so literally when I won 3 this year and 3 the year before that, 2 the year before.
You hear that? He's on a roll now.
Right, but I attribute that to when you watch people who are good and you simply don't hate on them, but just say, what is it you're doing? Humble yourself and say, what is it I can learn?
Good. That's good.
You're a student of your craft.
It's growth, with a growth mindset. That's what I learned. They told me, said I had a growth mindset, just like I want to grow. How? Because Lord knows there's enough for all of us. Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's where people screw up. Everybody think, well, they have my slice. No, I don't have your slice. There's enough pie out here.
Yeah.
Go figure out what you need to do and how you get your slices of pie.
Hey, while we're here, is there any amount of money that he owes you for?
I think there is. I'll have to figure it out.
We'll have to. I'm just saying.
No,
I figure if I just get him some Sullivan's barbecue, we'll be even up.
There you go.
See, that's
a smart man.
One smart man.
Jerry taught him that. Jerry taught him that. What's funny is I remember Newy coming and saying, "Hey, watch this story with me. What do you think of this story? What would you do differently?" And I think for whoever's watching, like that's a real thing that anyone can take away, like applicable wherever you are in life. Hey, there are things that you do in our community that have made you uber successful. Man, how did you do X, Y, and Z? The fact that you opened in January of 2020, COVID hits and shuts the world down 2 months later, but you survived that. How did you do it, right? You and I have talked about that, and we'll talk about that in another podcast, but that goes a long way, Newy, and thank you. I received that. Thank you. I've always thought a lot about Newy. And he mentioned earlier, we should point out, he mentioned the Silver Circle. For people who are watching, the Silver Circle is the Lone Star Emmy Awards. Really the biggest honor you can get from the Lone Star chapter. It's kind
of like a Hall of Fame.
It's like a Lifetime Achievement Award, Hall of Fame. You
cool.
have to have 25 years in the business. When you were inducted, they played a video, and then you gave a speech. And in fact, I'm going to pause for a second, and let's listen to part of that speech. Listen to this.
I have 3 daughters. Kids, I'm sorry that there are times I miss some stuff. It's hard to be the best at what you're doing and try to do everything, and all of you understand this who are involved in sports. There are days and there are times where you wish you were somewhere else, but you gotta be where you gotta be because it's the business that we've signed up for. To my father, I so much appreciate you, but I will tell you, when I was growing up, there were times I didn't like my father. I didn't like my father because my father had high standards. My dad wanted it 100%. He didn't want it at 95. And when you're a kid at times, you don't get that. He didn't want to be my friend. He was my dad. Nobody swung a belt worse than my dad did, boy. He sure enough gave me some stuff because I gave him hard times. But my dad had a process, and in times I hated the process. But I tell you right now, Dad, I love the result. Thank you. Thank you. And to my mom, I can't look at you right now because I ain't going to lose it.
I could feel the real Newy, who not everyone gets to see on a 6 and 10 o'clock newscast. Because you looked at your mom and you actually said, I'm not going to look at your mom because I'll start crying.
I'd lose it.
Right. And I think that you and I are a lot alike, because when we talk about family and things that are personal, like, man, I'm soft. Man, I get emotional talking about mom and dad and the things that they did to allow me to chase a dream. And Newy's got the same story, you know? And so when you get that award, what is that like? Well, take me back to that moment and the rush of emotion.
I would say to anybody that, and I said to my mom, it says me, but it's us.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't want to get choked up here, but my parents, man, have a work ethic that I don't have. My parents are both from Birmingham, Alabama. They grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. It was the worst place to be black in America. My dad was sprayed by Bull Connor's hoses in 1963.
If you can see this particular picture, that individual in the middle, that little 16-year-old boy, was terrified.
He's one of those kids. He's 16 years old. He's talked about how the water was searing on his body and thrown in jail for 6 days. They get out of jail. They're all kicked out of school. They're all expelled. And my dad talked about how being at the 16th Street Baptist Church before the 4 little girls were killed months before, and Dr. King is telling them, we're gonna get y'all back in school. And he just said, you know, it followed me for a long time. He said, people talk about good trouble now. It wasn't good trouble now. He said, I couldn't get a job. People were mad at us. People said you brought the city shame. And he gets drafted in the Army. And I think to myself, wait a minute, you live in a town in a place where, you know, you had to certain place, if you wanted to get a meal, you had to go to the back and get a knapsack. He's like, he told me he didn't go to pizza parlors. He was like 30, you know, because you couldn't sit in the pizza parlor in Birmingham. And you get drafted and you serve your country. And I just think to myself, man, what a heroic guy to have this kind of life. And my mom, just by his side, everything I ever needed, my mom gave me, everything. And I remember my mom just always supporting this dream I had. I spoke at TCU's medical school one day, interviewing kids. And I said, it's so cool. You guys you got your white coat, you had your white coat ceremony. It's like, you know, you get to go home and your parents like, oh, you know, Susie's at TCU medical school, you know, she got a white coat. I was like, my parents couldn't say anything like that. Well, what's Newy doing? Well, you're trying to get on TV somewhere, but your medical student, like, you know, everybody have pride in that.
So
Jimmy's
good.
gonna be a doctor, you know. What's Newy? Newy he wants to be on TV. And nobody's on TV. Like, we don't know anybody. Like, we don't know how he's going to do this. There's no real route or anything at all. And so, for me to get to that point that night was so much about them to me. Thank you. It was like a love letter to thank you to them. And then my kids, and Kris, you know it because you have children. There's stuff you miss.
That's right.
I don't care who you are. If you're running a business like you are, there's gonna be stuff in your life that you can't get to. You can't be the best businessman, best dad, best father, it's hard. It is hard to be 100% of everything, especially in this job where you're working weekends and you miss stuff. And you know,
your dad grew up in an era where racism was explosive. How did he raise you past all of that?
we grew up on military posts. So there you go. I didn't know. I lived a sheltered life in a lot of ways. Grew up with everybody. Didn't matter anybody's color. Was it, are we playing today? We got ball today? What are we doing? So it wasn't until we got off the base that, oh, this is what life is. My life wasn't built around race. Our lives were built around rank. So if somebody had, your dad was an officer, but now you got to live over here in the nicer house, in the bigger house versus the inside. My life was very different. I grew up around a lot of diverse people, a lot of stuff. It wasn't until you got out here in the real world, you saw things were a little bit different, where people cared about these types of things.
Every day that you breathe, what's the one thing that your dad taught you that just resonates?
You know, for me, I'll give you a second just to ponder about it. You know, my dad has always been a man of few words. He's always led by example.
Right.
And I'll never, ever forget that, because I don't feel like I'll ever have to work as hard as him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, I've shared with you, my dad's from, you've met my dad. He's from Mexico, came to this country with nothing, and started his own business with a business partner, put kids through school. I mean, literally is living the American dream, and I'll never have it that hard. So my dad has never had to say anything, because I've watched it, you know? And it's funny because, and I want to hear from Newy, I've got a very similar story in the sense that I remember my dad was like, man, I put you through TCU, son. TCU is not a cheap school. And I was fortunate to have soccer money and things like that, but my parents both worked really hard to put me through a university that I probably didn't belong at, but God gave me the gift of kicking a soccer ball and opened up big doors, right? And so then I go to graduate, and he's like, so you want to do TV? My dad, you know, right?
Right.
You know, my dad, and my dad grew up watching the news, and we watched it as a family. And so that was, I think, kind of where this idea was birthed. But I remember, you know, I got my first job offer in Sherman, Texas. And I was like, Dad, I'm going to make $7.25 an hour.
Right.
He said, son, I pay dishwashers at my restaurant with no college degree more than what you're about to make. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never forget it. The way, I mean, he was very nonchalant about it. He's like, hey man, this is just life. This is the truth.
Yeah.
But I just want you to hear this. And I remember thinking, man, there's going to be a point in my life where I'm going to be able to give back to them. I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
I don't know how. For me, my dad didn't have to say anything.
Yeah.
Because I just saw it.
You knew what the standard was. Standard was the standard. And you just knew what he wasn't going to accept. He was, you know, went to school, you must have good grades. You know, you must give the best effort you have. You're going to do the chores and the things that you need to do. It was just a standard.
Yeah.
And once again, I grew up in the military. It's just kind of, there's a lot of stuff that was unspoken, because a lot of ways we all kind of grew up together.
Yeah.
You know, our dads didn't put up with any bull jive. It's like, man, the worst thing in the world anybody could do at school is cold call. Well, we got to call your dad. No, don't do that. Call the cops. I got a better opportunity to police. Chilling out here. Don't call him.
Yeah.
Please don't call my father at work. That was the worst thing.
My dad's the same way.
Right.
My dad growing up said, if you get in trouble at school, you're going to get it twice at home, and he didn't care what the trouble was.
Yeah, right.
It was he backed authority.
Right.
Backed authority.
Yes. So it was just a standard you grew up with, and you just felt. And Kris, I'm sure you feel the same thing. I didn't want to do anything where I shamed the family name.
What's the thing that you do not like the most about what you do?
We have more people now who just want to be on TV, or people who want to create things that aren't true because they want to look at what I did, or look what I said, or I got this person. I still love what I do. I enjoy the games. I'm not trying to sit up here and make it about me. In terms of, look what I did, I argue with that person, you know. I always joke with people, like, you guys are soft on Jerry, you guys need to start asking questions. And it's like, okay, that's what I don't like about our business, and that's what it's turned to. And then it becomes where the players, I say to people, I understand why people will hate the media. I get when players don't like us, because I'm watching some of the stuff that happens.
Here's what most people don't understand about TV news. To get to where you want to go, it takes a lot, it's a toll on you and your family. And what I mean by that is there's usually moving involved, again, depending on what you want to do, right? Like for me, like you start in a small television market. I started in Sherman, and then I got to Youngstown, Ohio. And then I went to Austin, where Newy worked before me at the same TV station. From Austin, I went to Houston. Now you're in the top 10 market, right? And from Houston, I went to the network. I was working for Fox News Channel, 4 states was my region. Awesome job, right? But very, very demanding, again. And then you get to Dallas, I thought, oh man, I'll never move again. And then the Lord's like, oh, wait till you see what I got coming, right? And then I went to Houston for a while. Then I came back. And so what most people don't understand is that, man, if you want to climb and you want the job that everyone wants, right? Like there's 3 or 4 of Newy in every market, right? So think about that. If you're a young broadcaster and you want to do sports broadcasting and your job is to be the next Newy Scruggs, there's 4 of those in Dallas-Fort Worth. Right? How many barbecue restaurants are there in Dallas-Fort Worth? A bunch,
Yeah.
right? So you've got to, and it's all about Lord's timing. It's never ours. I'm a firm believer in that. But you've got to figure out ways to keep climbing that ladder until that job opens. And that's what most people don't understand. So through that, are there regrets? Do you wish you would have done anything differently? Do you wish, because here you are.
Yeah, I do.
You've got the job. And you've had it for 25 years, my man.
I should have never left Los Angeles.
So you should have never come to Dallas.
I should have never left Los Angeles.
Why?
I loved it. It's funny. I was telling people that when I left right as Shaq and Kobe were going to win their first championship. So I was there when Kobe was drafted, Shaquille signed. And so when I left, and I bought my first house. So I'm a homeowner at 27 in Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I had 2 jobs.
Making money.
I was very lucky. I had a full-time radio job and a full-time TV job. So I got these 2 jobs, single. I'm living the dream. And the Lakers are about to win and lost the TV contract battle over money. So I had to learn the hard way there. That was very much about what I thought. You must do right by me.
Yeah.
Stuck my heels
Your
in.
value, what you deserve.
And I didn't understand negotiations, give and take. And look, this is what happens when you live.
Have you ever had an agent?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Look, my agent tried to tell me.
Okay.
Newy, I'll have another job paying you this right here. You should take it. So, ended up losing that battle. And he says, hey, look, I know you want to stay in LA. Where do you want to go? I said, Dallas, Miami, Atlanta. Those 3. 2 weeks later, gets me a job interview at Channel 5. I give the worst job interview ever. I don't do this, I don't do that, but I can help you. But I still had my radio job. I planned on staying.
Wait, you told NBC5 what you wouldn't do?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
You
Yeah.
never got that luxury, did you?
No, sir. But I ain't Newy Scruggs either.
No, at the time, it's like, I was like, I can help you, but I don't do this, and this, Just not going to do that. That's not me, but I can help you here. And so, I went back home. So I asked for this. So I asked for my money I had. They gave it to me. They kept giving the 3-year deal. I said, well, they need a 4th year. I'm not trying to stay anywhere 4 years right now. Just give me a number. Here's a number. They gave it to me. And so then I said, yeah, because then it was the money talking.
You should have learned some stuff.
Then-
I'm learning right now.
And so here it is, the money, more money than I'm making in Los Angeles, and knowing that housing, everything, it could be, So I thought wrong. I thought about, the money would fulfill me, that kind of thing. But ultimately, I loved Los Angeles. I loved where I was living. And then so I told the people at Channel 5 after I agreed to it not to go. Because I was telling Shaquille I was leaving. He's like, bro, you want to leave? I'd win the championships. And so I told Channel 5 no. People got mad because my contract was done at 30 Rock. So the people in New York, they did all this. So it was a big deal. And they were very happy that I was going to come. And I'm like, no, then my agent is getting calls. I felt bad. It's like, well, you gave them your word. So I told my agent, I said, I'll go to Dallas for 4 years and I'm coming back. And so, Kris, for a long time, for about 7 years that I was here, I was.
You just didn't like it?
I didn't like it because when I worked in Austin, I had to crawl to come here.
Yeah, I know.
But I had that taste of Los Angeles. I liked LA. It was an international city. It was all these different things that I enjoyed because I kept looking for this big thing. And man playing, God laughs. And so then once I had my kids,
Wait,
for
did
a
you hear
little bit,
that?
I heard it.
yeah.
Say that one more.
Man plans, God laughs. And so over time, you get to the point where, hey, it's the acceptance. It's, you know what? He's got you here for a reason. This is where you need to be.
We're glad. Well, thank you so much for being here, Newy. You are the very best.
I hope I entertained you a little bit.
You are the very best. Kris, thank you for being
course.
here as well.
Yes.
Terry, take us out, buddy.